Hi, welcome to Silent Generation. I'm Joseph,
I'm Nathan.
and this week we're saying Happy Casimir Pulaski Day.
Yeah, happy Pulaski Day.
Yeah, we're hopefully releasing this right on Casimir Pulaski Day, right?
Yes, which is Monday.
This was an episode idea that came to us out of a deep appreciation for the Polish community. It touches on a lot of interesting things: the Revolutionary War, fried pastries, a lot of different stuff. But yeah, we'll get right into it. Who was Casimir Pulaski?
So he was a nobleman from Poland, and he was involved with a civil war there called the War of the Bar Confederation. But Poland has a really complex history. At the time, Poland wasn't even Poland. It was the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, I believe.
Yeah.
And so, I don't want to get into the details of this war, but what's important to know is it wasn't successful.
No, yeah. I kind of do want to get into the details. I don't know, but I'm just like a European history, not buff, aspiring buff, I'd say. But no, the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, it just seems like one of the more bizarre kind of pairings of countries that have been squeezed together at different points, because I think their languages have a lot of differences and their cultures do too. Religious as well. They're pretty interesting divisions there. But yeah, but at this point, I don't know, as we'll get into, Poland is just always subject to other countries' whims. And this is in a period where the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth was a shadow of its former self, and it was basically a puppet state of Russia. And their kings were just being picked by the Russians every time. But there was a growing kind of I don't know, I think these nobleman revolts are interesting when it's not like a peasant revolt, when it's like noblemen who really do have something to gain.
Yeah, I mean, that's what the majority of wars throughout history have been. It's been petty disputes over land between people with power who already have it.
Yeah.
But yeah, despite Pulaski being on the losing side, he managed to get a reputation as an effective military leader. And after the war ended, he then went to Paris after getting exiled.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder how many of other type of Pulaski-esque noblemen there were out there.
Well, I found a source that said there were hundreds of people
of displaced noblemen just hanging around Paris looking for a fight.
Not specifically just Paris, but across Europe. They were angling to try to fight on behalf of the Continental Army in America. They were looking for work as military careerists. And there were apparently hundreds of these, according to one source. Yeah. But Benjamin Franklin, when he was in Paris, he happened to meet Casimir Pulaski in person. And he actually bought that he was an effective cavalryman. That was his specialty. And so he actually kind of vibed with him. And then Benjamin Franklin directly invited him to come to the U.S.
I wonder how this went down. There must have been a translator, because apparently Casimir Pulaski never really learned English. So apparently they bonded over their mutual love of freedom, which is kind of funny to us nowadays. That's just a given thing, but we have to put ourselves in an Enlightenment mindset, and freedom was viewed with skepticism before. And so there were people who were into it and people who weren't.
Yeah, one of the reasons that Benjamin Franklin gravitated towards Pulaski is because his previous war experience was for freedom. It was Enlightenment value, liberty. Yeah. And so it's kind of wild to think about it, but at the time, young men were getting radicalized to fight and die in wars based off of these transcendental values through the Enlightenment.
Yeah, very high-minded stuff.
Because you don't think of the Enlightenment as being a radical thing. It's kind of boring and dusty, the idea of rationality.
It just feels like parchment. People just writing down with quills and parchment. But no, these changes had to be enacted through bloody violence.
Because now the most elite institutional people, they are the ones who are still appealing to Enlightenment values. Now the people who are getting radicalized are as far from these ideas as possible.
Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting, all of these kind of wayward noblemen kind of stirring up trouble. It reminds me of the kind of overproduction of elites kind of thing. I don't know exactly how the primogeniture, the inheritance setup of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth was, but basically if you start generating too many titleless men, issues, they start to cause problems. I guess one of the examples is the samurai in Japan. They were making too many of them, and there weren't enough wars to fight, so they started to kind of create their own. But this seems like the best version of that, where you have all these Enlightenment-minded guys.
Well, Pulaski specifically, he was more so new money, but I read something that his dad gifted him a town as a young man.
Oh, man. Classic Nepo baby. He was a member of, we've talked about them in passing once, the Szlachta, which is the Polish-Lithuanian noblemen who Orthodox Jews are dressing up as. basically, because everyone loved the Schlachter. Like they were really like looked up to as like not just being military, but being like pious and righteous.
I thought you had said before that they were in the Czech Republic.